MiniForce had everything: slick transforming robots, energetic action, a simple but killer premise, and a fanbase of kids and animation lovers that was growing with every season. It was a franchise on a clear upward path, a freight train powered on pure, unadulterated fun. So when a feature-length movie was announced, a crossover with Dinosaurs, it should have been MiniForce's finest hour. And instead, MiniForce, Dino, King of the Dinosaurs, or as it's known in the West as MiniForce Dino King, was the beginning of the end. Kind of. This wasn't just a slight misstep or a forgettable side story, this felt like a fundamental betrayal of what made the series great. It took the franchise's core strengths, watered them down, and shoved them into the background for a slower, blander, and bewilderingly generic story. This is the story about how one film killed the MiniForce hype. Before we can dissect the fall, we have to understand the climb. The MiniForce TV series, especially its immediate predecessor to this film, MiniForce X, wasn't just another kids show. It was special. It had that secret ingredient that the fans and critics simply called the sauce. Okay, maybe it's just me that calls it the sauce, but still, it was this undefinable quality, a perfect storm of bright and flashy colours for kids with great action and storytelling that can be appreciated by an older audience. The premise of MiniForce is quite simple. A team of elite rangers who are secretly small, adorable animals living with a kind human girl named Susie and are tasked with defending Earth from alien threats. When danger calls, Commander Chen dispatches the team and they transform from fluffy pets into high-tech armoured warriors. Volt the blue squirrel, Sammy the red owl, Max the yellow beaver, and Lucy the pink fox. And their team would go on to expand with Rio, Sammy, and of course Ray the GOAT. And what made this work so well was the execution. The MiniForce X series in particular had really perfected the formula of what went into each episode. A monster of the week appears, our heroes are sent in, and what follows is a symphony of glorious over-the-top combat. The transformation sequences were slick, the ground fights were a whirlwind of martial arts and energy blasts, and it all culminated in one giant robot fight. It's something that tokusatsu fans were very familiar with. The first MiniForce series and movie really introduced us to this world, and MiniForce X was just the cherry on top. The finale of MiniForce X literally ended with the promise of dinosaurs. The implication was clear: the next chapter was going to fuse the high-tech world of MiniForce with the primal power of dinosaurs. And for fans, this was a dream come true. I mean, we complain with Power Rangers and Super Sentai bringing back the dinosaur theme all the time, but kids love it, and a lot of adults love it as well. The stage was set for the ultimate MiniForce adventure, a cinematic spectacle that would take the franchise's signature action and dial it up to 11. It was an easy win, it was a guaranteed success. So what went wrong? The movie was released in South Korea in early 2020, and whilst it was set to take place after MiniForce X, it actually released during the following series, MiniForce Super Dino Power. It's clear that they tried to go hard on the dinosaur concept just so that fans would enjoy the following season, but it's weird how that aired before the MiniForce X movie did. And I think the fact they tried to go so hard on the dinosaur premise is what contributed to it systematically dismantling every single element that made the franchise beloved. Starting with like one of the most egregious sins the movie could have made, which was sidelining the main characters. MiniForce Dino King isn't a MiniForce movie. Like, not really. Like, the title is a massive lie. The team you paid to see, Volt, Sammy, Lucy, Max, Ray, Rio, Sammy, they're produced as side characters. And so if they're not the protagonists, who is? Well, his name is Jan. A generic, dinosaur-obsessed kid with zero prior connection to the franchise. The movie opens with a promised dinosaur invasion led by an alien species called Vidarians. They possess a powerful artifact called the Dino Key, which is responsible for summoning the dinosaurs to Earth. The focus swerves away from MiniForce when one of the Vidarians loses the key and it ends up in the hands of Jan. He accidentally activates it and brings Dino into the world, which his name isn't Dino originally, he names him that, and it's spelled D-E-E-N-O. But like, if you know someone called Dean, especially in the UK, you typically call him Dino, and I can't get past the idea of this dinosaur being called Dean. Dean's a perfectly fine name, nothing wrong with the name Dean, but a massive T-Rex just doesn't suit Dean. And from that point on, the movie just becomes Boy and his best friend, the dinosaur. Instead of the high-stakes action we were promised, we get a long, drawn-out montage of Jan bonding with his new pet. We watch him feed the T-Rex, we watch him clean up after him, we watch him nurse him back to health. Whilst this could have worked as a subplot, they play it as the main plot. The MiniForce team feels like an afterthought, popping in occasionally to fight a random dinosaur or to have a brief chat with Jan, but they have no agency. They're reactive, not proactive. I mean, there's a bit at the start of the film where we feel like they're gonna hunt down Dino, but then that just doesn't really happen. Like, imagine watching an Iron Man movie where Tony Stark is the background character and instead we follow some person who just found like one of Tony Stark's gloves, which I guess is kind of the plot of Iron Man 3, but at least they circled back around to Iron Man and Pepper by the end of it. And maybe in a popular opinion, I really like Iron Man 3. I know a lot of people don't, I fuck with that movie. Point being though, it's quite an arrogant decision that just like misunderstands the whole concept of the show. In my opinion, the shift in focus is mainly why this movie fails. It benches the heart of the franchise for an entire hour. The pacing suffers immensely, with the opening invasion completely squandered by a long, sluggish second act. It was a betrayal of the audience's trust, and believe me, it was just the first of many. And I know I just said a lot of bad, so let's be generous just for a moment. Let's say we accept the new protagonist. Let's say we're fine with MiniForce being kicked to the sidelines. The one thing that should have remained intact, the one non-negotiable element was the action. The source! The source, I tell you! Surely, even though the story was a mess, the action in this film would have still been fantastic, just like it was in MiniForce X. Right? Well, somehow in the jump to the big screen with what was presumably a bigger budget, the action became sterile, slow, just devoid of any stakes. And there's kind of actually like a strange paradox at play here, because on a technical level, the action does get better. It's a lot smoother, and if anything, it looks like they could have maybe motion capped, or at least animated 2 real fights. It's really smooth, and it doesn't look awful on a technical level. I don't know, there was just no part of this where I was getting excited, and look, I'ma save you the troubles of writing in the comments saying that I'm a grown man and this is a kid's film. We talk about that element in every video like this that I do, I know. MiniForce X, if you've seen my video MiniForce X, blew me away. It was such a step up from the original show that I couldn't have predicted. Everybody in the comments was like, you need to watch MiniForce X and you'll know why. And I don't want to keep sounding like a broken record, but the source is lost in this film. In MiniForce X, a typical fight is a rapid-fire exchange of blows. The camera is always in motion, a flurry of quick cuts and dynamic angles that emphasize speed and impact. It highlights each ranger's special powers, especially with their X discs that give them even more power. When Volt lands a punch, there's a visceral sense of force behind it. The screen shakes, energy bursts, and the sound design sells the hit. Now in this film, the shots are longer, the characters move with a strange floaty quality, lacking the weight and urgency of their TV counterparts. The choreography is uninspired, mostly just characters standing still and firing generic energy beams at each other. It feels less like a desperate battle and more like a low energy rehearsal. It's like you ask them to fight and we'll go, oh, we'll do it on the day.
I'll do it on the night.
This is the night.
And this is made worse by the film's visual direction. The colour palette is overwhelmingly grey and muted. Cities, landscapes, and even the villains are draped in dull, lifeless colours that suck the energy right out of the frame. The TV show was vibrant and colourful, making the action pop. The movie, by contrast, just looks dreary. Dreary? That's a word, isn't it? I've written that down. I wrote this script like 2 days ago. Then there are the dinosaurs themselves. They're rendered in a hyper-realistic CG style that clashes horribly with the more stylized anime-esque designs of the rangers and humans in this world. It's just a little bit jarring. I wouldn't even go as far as say it's like janky, because they don't look awful, but it's just the combination that doesn't work. It creates this constant nagging feeling that what you're watching is fake, pulling you out of the experience every time a realistic T-Rex stands in front of our very animated characters. Dino himself looks a little better. There's definitely like a lot more design that went into him, but all the others just seem like stock assets, like 3D models of dinosaurs. Hello, so you've made it to the midpoint of this video, and I actually have a little something fun for us. A full set of the original 5 MiniForce Rangers. These are the MiniForce original figures, not the MiniForce X. Trying to get your hands on MiniForce X figures is insane. Samji, if anyone who works on MiniForce is watching this video, I'd love those figures. I'd review them for you guys if you wanted to send them in. However, and I was going to do an unboxing, however, I realized I've got Ray here, but I've also got Ray back there. I have 2 Rays. I was wondering if anybody would like this one. Should I do a giveaway? Would anyone like this Ray figure? Completely free shipping. Let me know. I'm not going to do the giveaway in this video, but if you come back for the Super Dino Mode video, or the Super Dino Power video, what's the name of that show? Then maybe I'll give away this figure. Apart from that, yeah, my MiniForce figures. So there they are, the MiniForce 4. Obviously, I have Ray behind me. I will find a way to fit all these guys in the back there with Ray. Somehow, it's quite crowded back there. I'm gonna have to figure something out. I will now let you guys get back to the video. Maybe consider subscribing if you've got some time while you're waiting. But let's get back to the video. And then we've got the villain story that went nowhere. A hero is only as good as their villains. And the TV series understood this, giving us a rogues gallery of memorable, bizarre, and entertaining antagonists. Dino King of the Dinosaurs give us the Vedarians, or the Vadarians. Led by Queen Empress, the main enforcers are a trio of goons named Square, Tri, and Circle. And yes, their designs are as lazy as the name suggests. They're a massive downgrade from MiniForce X's Dan crew, a trio of recurring villains who, while bumbling, had distinct personalities and had a genuinely funny, dysfunctional dynamic. The Dan crew were entertaining failures, you just loved to watch them lose, until they had their redemption arc towards the end of the show, teamed up with MiniForce, helped them take down Zord, and the main guy whose name I can't remember all of a sudden. But when were all massive fans of those characters by the end of the show. Square, Tri, and Circle, by contrast, are completely interchangeable. They have no discernible personality, motivation, or menace beyond serving their queen. Their grand plan is to conquer Earth by controlling dinosaurs with a big sword. It's the most paper-thin of plots and a lazy excuse to have dinosaurs attack a city. Compared to the charismatic villains of the TV show, the Vidarians are just shit. They're there to be the bad guys, and that is it. And what gets me the most is that nothing happens with them. There's Queen Empress, right? Which I'd love to have been in the meeting room when they were coming up with that name. She shows up, declares they must attack Earth or whatever it was she did, and that was it. No continuation for that character. Will she show up in Super Dino Power? Probably not, I'm willing to guess. The designs weren't the worst. Square was pretty sick. I believe he's also potentially called Squire when obviously there's translation between Korean and English. He kind of looks like a bird. He looks quite cool, and the other two, Circle and Tri, look a lot more like cats, I want to say. But like their designs are the only somewhat redeeming quality, and even then their designs aren't that great. With a weak hero, bland action, and forgettable villains, the plot was the only thing left that could have saved this movie. And it didn't. The main story with Yan and Dino is already a slog, but the film pads its 73-minute runtime with some of the strangest, most pointless subplots imaginable. A huge chunk of the movie is dedicated to a theme park called Dino Land, which feels less like a real place and more like a toy set that the writers were forced to include. And the most baffling thing of the entire film is the way they force in a connection between Yan and Susie. We learn that Susie's mother and Yan's mother knew each other, and it adds nothing to the story other than a reason for them to meet up in Dino Land and say they know each other. Oh, and by the way, we also see Susie's mother for I think the first time ever in this movie when she walks in and says, Yan's mother is my friend and you're gonna meet Yan. I don't know. It felt awkward. It was weird. I wasn't even 100% sure that was Yan until he was like, oh yeah, that's Dino. I was like, sick. No worries. The climax tries to bring it all together, but because the journey was so disjointed and emotionally hollow, it does nothing. We get a big flashy battle, but we don't care about the outcome because the film has given us no reason to. The emotional anchor isn't the MiniForce team saving the world, it's the friendship between Yan and Dino. A bond that the movie failed to make compelling in the first place, but the ending is the real kicker. They end up breaking the dinosaurs free of their brainwashing, and then Square uses the control sword to turn himself into a giant kaiju to fight with Dino, the other dinosaurs, and the Force X Pentatron Zord. He's ultimately defeated. It's a pretty cool moment where Dino throws him into the sky and then shoots him with a fireball out his mouth. And then he destroys the sword and they all go back to their homeworld, which, by the way, is called Dino. The entire emotional crux of the film, the friendship that hijacked the narrative, is erased with a reset button. It renders the whole journey pointless. There is a post-credit scene, or at least a scene that plays while the credits are rolling, which suggests that Yan will meet Dino again at some point. But there's two things with that. One, I doubt it. I doubt that's the case. But also, at the start of the film, no one has learned anything. No one has changed as characters. There was these bullies that were bullying Yan at one point that ended up becoming his friends at the end. But in the MiniForce, nothing changes for them. Nothing in the slightest. When the credits rolled of this film, I was left confused and a little disappointed. This didn't feel like the franchise that I've grown to love through making these videos on it. And the film's reception did reflect this. Whilst it wasn't a catastrophic bomb, the general reception was overwhelmingly mediocre. It took the trust and excitement of a dedicated fan base and squandered it on a project that seemed to misunderstand its whole appeal. The decision to sideline the main team was crazy. We forgot about Sammy. We did include Rio at some point, but he had little to no involvement. And there was no Ray. Where's Ray? Where's Hawk as well? But that's a story for another day. Check out my first MiniForce video for that one. The studio even seemed to acknowledge the dinosaur theme was popular in theory, leading to subsequent seasons like Super Dino Power and Dinoid, which felt like an attempt to either course correct or just double down on the one element that the movie thought it had done right. But for many fans at that point, the magic was gone. The movie had revealed a worrying lack of vision, a willingness to sacrifice the franchise's identity for a generic, forgettable story, and it created a fracture in the fan base, a skepticism that I don't think ever truly healed. I don't know many other people that like MiniForce, like in my personal life. I've tried to join different groups on like Facebook and like Reddit and stuff just to try and gauge opinions, and it seems that the Dino movie wasn't it, which I'm glad about. Not because I wanted it to be bad, but I was worried that I hated this when other people loved it. And I was like, am I falling out of love with MiniForce? Apparently not. Apparently it's just a bad movie. The movie serves as a cautionary tale, a lesson in what happens when a property at the height of its power forgets what made it special. It wasn't just a disappointment, it was an anchor that dragged the entire franchise down, killing the hype and leaving fans to wonder what could have been. In the end, Dino, the King of the Dinosaurs, committed the worst sin an action franchise can. It was boring. By pushing its beloved heroes to the sidelines, sanitizing its trademark action, and delivering a story that was both paper-thin and needlessly convoluted. The movie alienated the exact audience it set out to please. But hey, Dinosaurs are cool, right? Dinosaurs are actually pretty cool. I do like dinosaurs, but not in this instance. But what are your thoughts? Are you a MiniForce fan? Did you think Dino King of the Dinosaurs was the decline, or do you think that started elsewhere? If you made it this far in the video, thank you so much. Comment the words Big Dino down below so I know who made it to the end and who didn't. And of course, I'd love it if you join me next time when I delve into the world of MiniForce Super Dino Power. Huge thank you and shout out to Sarah Jane, Eric Leutz and Sam James, our Super Dino Mode patrons.